Play the recorded video of Abdelaziz Ghanemi from Laval University, Canada, and his title will be Exercise and High Fat Diet in Obesity, Functional Genomic Perspectives of Two Energy Homeostasis Pillar.
Hello, good morning. This presentation is about the importance of using functional genomics in exploring obesity-related patterns, both to identify some new targets for therapies, as well as understanding new insights of its molecular pathogenesis. And I will talk, some of the works presented herein are from our lab in Canada, and I am Abdelaziz Ghanemi. All of us know that obesity is big health problem. Nothing to say about that. Basic definition that from which we will start is that obesity is excessive fat accumulation. We have an energy intake which is higher than energy expenditure. So the difference is that excessive fat. The risk factor that obesity represents for different diseases, including diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancer, represents one of its most pathology-related issues. So coming back to obesity, how it's usually treated, it's mainly about the balance of diet and physical exercise. We should, for those suffering from obesity, pay close attention to our diet. It's not only about eating less, it's more about eating good and at the right amount, of course. And at the same time, try to move to increase the energy expenditure, meaning more physical activity. So these two elements are the most related to obesity, both development and treatment as well. Therefore, finding genes related to diet, mainly a high-fat diet, because as we know, the fat are the highest in calories compared to other nutritive elements. In addition to diet, we have also the exercise, and finding genes related to this would represent a starting point to deepen our knowledge about obesity-related mechanisms, in addition to identify new molecular therapies targets for obesity. Within this context, functional genomics represents the study of genes expression under the influence of dynamic conditions, such as high-fat diet and exercise. So for the exercise, this is the idea. The concept is to identify genes that are more expressed or specifically expressed during or following physical activity or exercise. The concept is that we based on the theory saying that those overexpressed genes are related to benefits that we get from exercise. And therefore, the concept is that if we identify those genes, we would identify the pathways that leads to the benefits of exercise or via which the physical activity has its positive impacts on health. And if we identify those pathways, we could develop some pills that we have called exercise pills for individuals who would be able, after taking those pills, of course, to get the exercise of benefits, the exercise benefits without actually having to do exercise. The idea is that we could provide a solution to those maybe who are not able to perform the required amount of physical activity, maybe because of some physical handicap, those suffering from heart failure, etc. The second also important concept after exercise, we have high-fat diet. So the idea is also to identify genes or pathways, more generally speaking, and that they are modified or that they are overexpressed or even down expressed, depending on which type of diet the persons take and depending on when and how they take that. So also we could consider the time of the meal. For example, with the genes related to fat metabolism or of glucose metabolism will be more active if we take more fat or if we take less sugar. If we take proteins during the morning or at night, those kind of details would help us to understand how different metabolic tissues respond to different diets. And based on that, we could, for example, identify specific signals or maybe time-dependent food-induced signals. So depending on that, we could, for example, target those periods of meal as the time point of treatment or of drug administration, for instance. The other important point would also be to make sure that the pathways that are activated would not deactivate or reduce the effect of drugs or medicines given at the same time with specific meals. That should be kept in mind. The perspective also, after we study the genes related to the exercise and diet, you could also have a look into those maybe implicated within the brain, mainly related to psychological disorder or psychiatric problems, because the mood and psychological status have an impact on appetite, food intake, energy storage, and therefore obesity development and its possibility. So as a perspective, we could think about also studying the genes related to that, keeping in mind the possible development of therapies based on those genes that would allow to identify new molecular therapies. This is the general conclusion, is that to study how genes, and more generally speaking, pathways related to energy metabolism or energy balance, which are tissues like related to energy storage or expenditure, such as the fat tissue or adipose tissue, muscles, liver, and as well as the centers or the tissues or organs that produce the signals that control the energy balance, as hormones or maybe brain centers. So we study the impact of different factors of obesity, such as physical activity, fat, diet, type of diet, and even some drugs, hormones that I have used here, a bottle to present the drugs. So how these impact genes, gene expression, and how does it impact metabolism? Having those information could allow us to elucidate obesity-related pathways, disease prognosis, further understand and optimize and evaluate therapies, also understand pathogenesis and progress of diseases and disorders such as diabetes, cancer, in addition to discover novel molecular therapeutic targets, which could be good advance. It is to acknowledge that the software I have used to produce the figures, and these are the references for those who would be interested in reading more. Those are the two papers I recently published and that contain what I have just presented. These are my emails, those who would like to exchange, ask questions, or even establish kind of collaboration. So thank you for your time and hope you enjoyed it. And I would look forward to receive your emails. Thank you and enjoy your day. Goodbye.
Anything else, Alice?
Can we go for a closing note?
Yeah. I think few speakers have not shown up today, so we have to close the data webinar very early today.
Yes.
So I would like to thank all the keynote speakers who have been attended today, especially Dr. Asli from Turkey, and all the speakers who has been part of our data webinar. And thank you very much. I hope you will be meeting tomorrow on day 3. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Everyone, bye bye.